If you're getting ready, I'll use mostly pencil. I have some colored pencils handy in case there's time to add a little others, but you can use anything you like for the exercise. It'll all work just fine. Typically, we start with a little warm-up, so on a piece of scrap paper, just page in a sketchbook or something, to get a sense of what the overall technique will be through the exercise, so we're not too focused on that and more present with our engagement with the exercise. And so this one will be simple. We'll draw a series of squares that have a couple of behaviors on the page. So roughly some kind of square somewhere will be our agent or shape condition. And we'll have it be able to do a couple of things. Let's say this shape can move a little bit, can kind of slide and overlap itself, and it can rotate around. So we might explore a simple duplication where it moves in roughly similar size. Square has some overlapping relationship to it. And then alternatively, there can be a new one anywhere that has a different orientation. It can have a different size as we explore with it. And that same one can create a similar condition of sliding in a direction and overlapping. In this case, I've kind of done them both diagonal, but there's no reason that you couldn't do a little of both at the same time, and you could have a square that slides and rotates, getting a different overlap, and it's something you can explore along the way through the exercise. But those are the simple elements that'll start us out, generating a feel or condition of shapes and elements on the page, and then we'll scan through the territory and look at ways of giving them new dimension, a little bit of emphasis of particular conditions, find interesting configurations and turn those into new shapes and arrangements that might be there. And that's where maybe some colored pencil comes in to explore the overlaps and intersections or leftover spaces and give it a little tapestry or texture. We'll start just with a series of overlapping, shifting squares. And if you want them to be more rectangle or more wobbly, that's all fine too. I'll just stick with some squares for myself. To help us get started, just make sure we're comfortable and familiar with the space between us and the media, the page there, the desk, whatever it may be. So wherever you're working, take a moment, let the hands scan all the way around the space. Notice if you can reach to the extremities or not, and it's okay, you can readjust, or just know that's a tougher place to draw and engage. Just become familiar with your capacity and reach there, especially with the hands you might like to draw with. You can switch hands at any time for a little fun. And then in a nice neutral position, hands resting, palm up or palm down, whatever feels relaxed and steady in your state. And take a few nice inhales and soft exhales, just to relax into that a little bit. The softness in the hands, the softness in the breath. Maybe a couple of larger expansions, letting the shoulders move up with the inhalation. And then just set back down, a bit of a roll with the breath. Opening and relaxing. Anytime you want to break or just take a moment, you can always fall back to that state. No need to keep drawing the whole time. As it suits you, go ahead and pick up the tool, the instrument you want to work with. Let the hand find a place on the page where it feels comfortable and engaged, and create that first square. Any size, any orientation, any perfectness of the square is not too important. You could focus more or less on it as you like, but it's roughly a shape we recognize. And once we've put that first one down, the page is now active, no longer in the background, but holding the space for this game to play out. And you can make a couple of gentle choices. Do you want to have high variability or just simple shifting and overlapping conditions? I think I'll stick there for now and create the next iteration of the shape. And just another square in some relationship to the first one, moving, changing size or rotating, and keeping some awareness to their overlap as the space of interaction. And I'll work in these couplings, two at a time kind of conditions, what comes to mind for me. So after each action there, moving to another condition, perhaps the next square has a specific relationship to the first ones, or a more casual, soft, spatial relationship, or something you can bring to mind each time as you become more familiar with the space of interaction in the drawing. And we can take a breath or two between each instantiation of the shape and consider with our eyes where we place the next one. There's no strong consequence or guide, just a shift and an overlap, a relationship between the two. It may affect the many. And as we get a little bit of the hang of things, finding the next place in the space between, and now using our breath to guide the application of the tool to the page, an inhalation before we begin the next shape. And as you exhale, beginning the drawing operation, the breath will cycle into its next natural inhalation and exhalation. But that initiator, the first one to establish place and then let it begin. The journey will be our focus for a little while. So as you're ready with each new shape, breathing in to fill out some space, and then placing the next action down with the exhalation. And the speed you progress with can follow my cues, or if you've got a rhythm going, follow your own breath, your cadence there of inhaling and exhaling out an action of marking on the page. Noticing that quiet, softer place of your body's own automatic breathing between moments while you complete the shape. Before starting again with another exhalation and journey around that square space. Taking a moment for the eyes to see what's happening, the various angles or relationships, the light or the heavy, the overlap, finding a new place with the breath, and letting it mark out some territory. As you become more comfortable with that cycle of inhaling and exhaling in the rhythm of the action, it hopefully may open up a little more space to bring your attention to that tool, to the paper, noticing the movement, your action, the way you work around a space. It can be sequential, could be jumping, could be two L's meeting, any way that you form the square, but noticing each new action's interface with the forming. It may change depending on your position relative to the paper, the conditions you're drawing within, proximity of other shapes. You just take some time to notice with each interaction. Observing how far the one breath takes you through the completion of the shape. There's no goal for that length of breath, the natural cadence of your inhalation and exhalation. It's a thing we can bring our mind to. Notice, listen, hear the rise and fall, aligning with the movement of the hand and that application of a media onto the paper. Becoming more familiar with and aware of the way you draw, the way you mark out space. We'll take just a couple of minutes of quiet, unguided interaction between yourself and the breath to fill out a little bit more of the field before we take it to a next step. Cycle finishing out the current pairing of overlapping squares. As it comes to a rest, taking in the field, the overall relationship between the many conditions and applications, the individual moments probably still present, the two specific overlaps, then many other adjacent or accidental moments happen around and between them, scanning through the oscillation of interior and exterior, combined and separate as to the shapes. And then we'll perform a reading exercise, looking through and translating these simple outlines of a space into a form of boundary to space, something that might be like a wall, but anywhere that catches your eye, a zigzag, a V, a complex outer wrapping, or an interior little new shape, be a place to start. I started framing it by retracing the edges, giving them a little more presence, heaviness of line perhaps, and choosing the direction to give them an offset, a little thickness, just shifting over and retracing along the path slightly to the side, becoming a block in the space formed by the squares. And that could stand solid as it is, or if you like, you can bring a little shade to it, and perhaps a place to bring some color or other media if you have it. Up to you. Start to play with how you work through the field, the playground that you've created there on the page. And I like to jump around a little bit, just follow wherever my eye is drawn here. But choose your path, procedural or a little bit wandering, and see what you can find as you wrap between, around, and over some of the spaces created there, finding new potential configurations within the action of shifting, overlapping, rotating squares. And I like to bring something to the space between, much like that subtle pause at the top and the bottom of the breath cycles, a little reprieve and chance to take things in. For me, the slight shading of each new shape, just to give it a little bit of presence and let my eyes focus there for a moment, or finding their next interaction and marking out a new internal territory. Pause, a chance to collect, to think or imagine, to let the mind wander inward. And then take in the surrounding context in a new way to observe outward. To get a feel for this reading, move at whatever pace feels comfortable to you. No need to go fast or slow. We have plenty of shapes on the page to work with, and no need to finish, so we can always add more. We know the underlying idea of the system we're working with. But we begin to observe some patterns in your seeing, perhaps these little C's or J things that hook around for me, but could be unique in every case. An interest in the V's, an interest in the more complex or the more simple. An interest in the way of drawing those offset lines to form a little space of solidness, an edge that wraps, that delineates inside from outside in a new way. Not only the square and its neighbors and its overlaps and its intersections, becoming something new. And as our breath is always our guide, use that to begin to align with our marking. As you draw the edges, breathing out along each one, noticing its direction, its orientation, its length, its pacing to your breath. Similar to drawing the squares, an inhalation and then an exhalation. Finding the pace for you, whether it's each edge, or perhaps each corner. Or each long segment, whatever works with your cycle of inhalation and exhalation. And then those spaces between, if you do a little shading, filling out, chance for that breath to just ride at its normal pace, established by you and your presence with the action, and then unfolding to what the body needs. As you see, there's many potential paths to work our way through here. many shapes that can take place on the page. Many chances to create, invent, explore, follow. That simple marking out of a line, moving it over, finding the space between the overlap and intersection, and mapping out a little territory. Some may be large, some may be small, some heavy, some light. The exercise, without an end, is only in the present, in the moment of finding something, observing it, using the tools to bring it forward, and then noticing it in the greater context. And since the world goes on for a while, the many shapes, the many possible new configurations, to feel comfortable or relaxed in that moment, you can begin to explore deeper, take some time to just inhabit the drawing and see what you find. So if you have other media nearby, pens, ink, colored pencil, something else, if you'd like to try it out, you can bring that into the mix, see what you discover there, or keep working through the primary media, whatever you find interesting here in the moment. And take the next few minutes to draw, explore in whatever way you would like. And we'll reconvene, close out the exercise. As we look at our senses and bring them from this focused world of the drawing outward to the world around us and connect it all together. Focused, full drawing, our attention on the present, the moment now of the page. You might find some patterns, and again, maybe in shapes, maybe in configurations. You might find pattern, the overlaps, with a way of shading, drawing, filling. You might find a jumble, but with a little potential there. So we let our eyes wander, drift a little bit as we mark on the page. Notice the effects of some of the actions we've taken. See what they do to our perception. That simple starting place, a little shifting, overlapping, and rotating of some squares. As you can keep the pen or pencil moving, keep finding new things to the field. Start to notice the world back around us, bring our attention and presence to the broader scope of space that we're in now. So as you breathe in and out, noticing any scents in the air. It's a nice warm day here. Smell the sun warming the concrete and the earth and the trees, shifting to a new temperature for the season, something novel, a reaction to to a change. You may smell food or just the normalness of, say, a house scent or something like that. And then our attention goes to the ears, noticing the little sounds that have been around us. Perhaps some cars outside, some birds here or there. Perhaps a light, subtle breeze. Just noticing. The hums that fill up the space, give it a little bit of definition in the background of our attention. Maybe we even have a little bit of taste, the remnants of coffee or tea, a little toothpaste, something from the day present if we listen with our senses. And we can notice the sensation of our body interacting with the world, feet on the floor, maybe hanging above on a chair, the body's seat or position, the way the pen or pencil interact with the hand, the texture of the page, the things big and small, subtle, that may be overwhelming around us. And as a final close, noticing the eyes, their presence focused for a while here onto the page, letting it drift away, look out here and there, jump from that focused attention to something softer. Notice perhaps the discomfort of trying to keep drawing or moving without the eyes as present, letting that be the cue for them to wander the space and the pen or pencil to come slowly to a rest. Set it down as you're ready. Take a couple of replenishing breaths as you look around your space. Letting the eyes focus near and far. And then prepare to go out for the rest of your day. Thank you for joining. I hope you could come back another time. Patchwork of colors starting to form. The potential of these things currently held in their own space. Perhaps we could play with that.